Hey everyone, thank you for taking the time to tune in to Forward Progress. Help this channel progress forward by clicking that subscribe button. Thank you dearly. Enjoy the show.
What's more monumental than an introduction? An epic instrumental, only right to do it justice. Daily with conviction, every time I touch it. Check your assumptions before my judgment. First you must become me and roll with the punches. End up with a concussion, that's how my brain function. Enter my subconscious, empty out the contents. Ripping up the formula and wrap around the concept. Like a python, clutching like a cyclops. Psyche like a cyclone, spinning in a spiral. Stopping the cycle, silence the conditioning and seek to keep it primal. Listen, for the future to decipher. Simply keep in mind, for we're free to feed the fire. Essential for survival. Be the change you want to see instead of standing idly with preconceived notions that trigger the anxiety inside.
DJ.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on, bro.
I appreciate it, bro. Appreciate you having me.
Listen, I'm really excited for this one because I don't think there's going to be more individuals or guests that I have on that can embody the definition of forward progress. You did something that most people can't do, which is reach a certain level of your athletic and academic, actually, but athletic prowess, but then also had to give that up and then find a way to bounce back and become an even better version of yourself after athletics. Tell me about, I'm going to mention a date, and you tell me about how the journey leading up to that moment was, which is 2016 Olympic trials. Go.
Okay. 2016 Olympic trials. So let me back up first.
Yeah.
Do you want to know like what Olympic trials was like or the progress to get there?
The progress to get there. I would say the journey of getting there. Like, when did you know that you wanted to really pursue high jumping? You know, like when did you kind of make that promise to yourself? Like, well, I actually want to try to bring this, go as far as I can. And when did you actually know that you could?
Okay. Well, for me, it was a child's dream. Mm-hmm. Like I've always, it wasn't really about sports per se. It was more about my parents. And I've always told myself, and I told them as well, the first goal that I wanted to knock down was full ride. Any sport that I did, anything that I did, I wanted to make sure my parents didn't have to pay for college.
Yeah.
So that was like my number one goal. Full ride scholarship, everything good. They can keep their money in their pockets. They ain't have to worry about me. So that was like the first thing.
When did you make that? Were you like 9, 8? Like, do you remember?
Yeah, I was like 7.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like 7, 8 years old because I have a lot of cousins and a lot of like relatives that are a lot older than me. And I was younger, so I was able to kind of see their journey. And some of them were great, but it didn't end great. And then some of them were like, they were amazing athletes, but they just never reached the potential and just kind of plateaued. And then some of them didn't even get on the stage.
Oh man.
Yeah, so it was definitely a learning experience and more of like learning through wisdom, which is watching, and then applying the application to what you're doing. So that's kind of like my journey of how I made that promise to myself because my parents did their thing. My dad was military. My mom was law enforcement. They worked ridiculously. Yeah. And I just didn't want them to keep struggling because even at that time, I had enough common sense to realize like, things are expensive and they're getting more expensive and that's a lot of your pocket. So that's kind of like that promise I kind of made. And that's what started off my journey in a sense when it came to me wanting to be at the pivotal of like whatever I did.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's kind of like to answer that question.
Yeah. And then you made a decision to venture to high jump. Like, what led to that?
That was an accident. So I never wanted to do high jump ever.
What was the first sport?
Football.
Okay.
Yeah, football and basketball, man. So I played football first. I was pretty good. You know what I mean? Yeah, wide receiver, free safety. And then I played basketball as well. Yeah. I played shooting guard and I played, sometimes they would mix me up at like power forward or whatever, and like small forward. So it just depends. I would be like those 3 positions. But that's technically what I did first. And I didn't end up doing track until my sophomore year.
Of high school?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was kind of like I did it when I was in middle school, but just for fun. Because my dad always just made me go out there. Did it like 1 year. Yeah. And then after that, I never did it again. And then my dad, it wasn't even my dad, it was my coach. Because I moved to Atlanta. My parents divorced. And when they divorced, we had a lot going on in our family at the time. And my sophomore, they asked me to do it my freshman year, but that's when I first moved from Warner Robins, Georgia to Atlanta, Georgia. And my sophomore year,
What's the significance of that? Is that like
it's huge. Yeah, it's huge. So technically, Warner Robins is Middle Georgia. That's near Macon. And if you don't know anything about Warner Robins, Georgia, the best thing to explain, like right now, for the younger generations, and then for the older generations, is like Ed Reed, like the football player Ed Reed.
I'm a Hurricane fan, so I know Ed
Look,
Reed.
he's from Warner Robins.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a Warner Robins guy. Or like now, Bo Nix.
Okay.
Bo Nix is the grandson of Conrad Nix, who was the head coach of Northside High School, which is known for just winning championships, sending people to the NFL, and that is the culture in Warner Robins. Like football, sports, football. That's what it is. Yeah. It's football. Basketball started to evolve, but it's football. That's what it is. So when I moved to Atlanta, it was a big change because kind of like you kind of set your premise when you're there. And it's like they know you from like middle school, like, and that's when I kind of like moved from the north to the south, was around like middle school. And it was like middle school, elementary school, like the end of elementary school. So they know who I was because I was making a name for myself. Started varsity like my freshman year, like I was making a name, and then I left.
Do you remember that feeling?
It was crazy.
That feeling never goes away. Like, when you like, oh man, I might be pretty good at this.
Exactly. But for me, my dad always instilled like this competitive nature in us. Like he used to always, because he was my coach when I was younger, and it was always, don't be last. Don't be last. Don't be last. Like, why are we dragging? Why are we dragging? You got to be the first person to run the lap. You got to be the first person to do this. You got. So it's like it was just embedded. And then it just gets to the point to, especially when you have that community of competitive individuals.
Cousins, siblings?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Cousins, siblings, the neighborhood friends, everybody. Nobody liked to lose. Yeah. So it was always, I'm better than you. Yeah. Oh, let me show you I'm better than you. So that's kind of like what I grew up on. And especially in an area like that, it's country. Yeah. Compared to when I was in the city, like it's country. There's nothing out there. So it's sports. Like that's all we that's all we do. We compete. Like I can throw this further than you. I can jump higher than you. I can run faster than you. Like that's all you did. So then when I moved to Atlanta, it's more city again. So now it's a different city. So I had to readjust because Atlanta is very metropolitan. So you have downtown area, but it's all of these subsections that are around Atlanta. Yeah. So I was in Clayton County, if you know what that is.
No.
Waka Flocka?
Yeah.
Waka Flocka, Sierra, Future, like they're all, Future's low-key from around there, but that's the metropolitan south side of Atlanta.
Okay.
So that's where I ended up growing up from my high school years.
Wow.
So when I first got there, I played basketball. Track coach tried to ask me to come out there at first. I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm straight. Yeah. So then
I run to play basketball. I don't run.
Exactly. I was like, bro, I don't want to. I'm hooping. I'm good. Yeah, I'm hooping. And then I got football right after this. So I got spring training. I'm cool. So then my sophomore year, it was basketball season, and there was a new coach. So I was playing JV and varsity, and he was teaching me how to reverse dunk, like from the outside of the block. So he was like, man, you can really jump, man. Like, you should come out here and like high jump. And I was like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm straight. And my football coach at the time, his name was Al Hughes. Like, love him to death, but look, big, huge, fat white guy. Like, and I'm talking about country. Country. Like, what you doing? He was.
He had a dip and everything?
Boy, all of it. Like, whatever you can imagine as a honky tonk, like white guy or whatever, he was the embodiment of that. But when I say he loved us, loved us as like his own. And that's why I loved Al Hughes, man. But his premise was old school, 3-sport athlete. You're a 3-sport athlete. That's more stuff that I can be able to sell to recruits. That means you're more marketable. So he, when I told him no, the thing was, we kind of called it a sixth sense, because he would be sitting back and he'd sit in his chair and he'd be sitting back like this with his arms down. But he's sitting like all the way in the back of the gym because our gym was like a bowl. So he's sitting at the top and he just sitting there just chilling. And you like, oh man, he's just sitting there, but he sees everything and hears everything. So when I said no, as soon as I said no, he was like, what you doing, DJ? I need a 3-sport, yelling from the top, like the top of the freaking gym. Hey, I need a 3-sport athlete. If you're not a 3-sport athlete, I cannot sell you, son. So you're going to get out there and you're going to run track. I was like, oh, well.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of like how I got introduced into track. Like that's.
And then you made a decision. So what was your first race?
Honestly, 400.
400.
So I ran the 400. I ran the 400, the 100, the 200, and then he wanted me to do high jump, which was the JV coach. So they found they already knew I could run because of football. So that's how I ended up doing that, and I was fast. Like I've always been fast. So like my 400 back then when I first opened up was around like a 51, 50 or whatever as a sophomore, which is really good. So they were like, oh my gosh, that's fast, blah, blah, blah. I didn't know because I didn't know track.
You were just running.
Yeah, exactly. They said run. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then my 100 was around like a 10, like a 10.7 at the time, 10.8. Yeah, so I didn't know it was good, but they were like, oh man, you're fast. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. You know, that's great. Like, yeah, did I win? Like, that's all I'm worried about, winning. Yeah, so then there was this guy named Mike Green. And Mike Green was the huge football star at the time that ran track. He was, you know how you got those guys in high school and they're like their whole build is abnormal.
Oh, yeah.
He was one of those.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 6 feet. God. He was like 6 feet, like cut up.
The opposite
like,
of me.
Yeah. Hey, look, he the opposite of both of us because that man was rocked. Like, and I'm like, I'm looking at him and I'm like, bro, you're a grown man. Are you a child? Like, you're not a child. So this doesn't make, and I'm talking about like super cut up, shoulder caps, like full, like, you're looking like, dude, this dude is a grown man. Exactly. Grown man. Yeah, but he high jumped the year before and got second in state. And he jumped like 6'10". So like I said, I'm competitive, and I really don't like when people tell me I can't do something. That's like a stickler for me. Like it drives me. It always has. So when I first went out there, the coach that tried to get me to jump last year was a female. Her name was Coach Fant. And Coach Fant was like, yeah, you know, one day you'll be able to, you know, jump 6'10", and, you know, maybe you'll be able to beat his record here at the school, and, you know, you're just not good enough yet, but you're going to get there. And I was like, what you mean? Like, I'm not good enough? Like, that's crazy. Like, okay, so like my first high jump competition, I jumped like I think it was like 6'4", 6'2", or something like that. Maybe 6'6", I don't know. It was something like that. And she was like, they were excited. I'm not, because I didn't beat him.
You were going for 6'10".
I'm trying to beat him. Like, he jumped like 6'8" that meet or something like that. And, you know, I think what solidified it for me to really take it seriously was after I lost, he came and pat me on my back. He was like, yeah, man, maybe next time, man. I was like, oh, nah. Nah.
He said, I'm going after this.
Boy, what? I said, you dog food now because I'm hungry and look, it's time to eat. Yeah. So I used to like go crazy when it came to working out and stuff like that. So then what I started to do was that year while track was going, I just made up workouts, man. I just did like, I would go to the gym. I would get like this basketball and I would push dribble it out and I would jump as high as I can to the back of the backboard, like as a layup, emulating me high jumping. Yeah. And I get my hand as high as I could to the top of the square, and I get to the top of the square or whatever, lay it up, grab a rebound, run, and keep doing the same thing, working like on my steps. I didn't know what it was then. It was just, I just need to get my steps down to jump higher. Like, you know what I mean? So, and the crazy part is we didn't have track shoes. So I didn't have high jump shoes. I jumped in hyper dunks. Yeah.
Shout out to hyper dunks, by the way.
Facts. Yeah, hey, hyper dunks. Hey, them things was legit. That was one of my favorite basketball shoes.
Because we're around the same age. How young are you?
I'm 32.
So I'm 30. Yeah. So
yeah. So they had the hyper dunks back in the day. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's all I got. I mean, that's all I knew to jump in. My basketball shoes. So our track was concrete. So I didn't know, so I just jumped in my hyper dunk. So, like, I ended up, like, the next meet, I got higher, so I jumped, like, 6'6", or whatever. Then the next meet, I jumped, like, 6'8". And then when I got, I kept getting stuck at, like, 6'8", or whatever. And then by the time regionals came through, I jumped 6'10". And it's crazy because it's
same year.
Yeah, same year. Same year. I jumped 6'10", and then there's, like, a video online because my dad recorded it. And you can see, like, this is when you find out people who know what they're doing and the people who don't, because I missed the mat. Yeah, at region. So I'm like running the jump and I jump over, but I'm like, the way it works now with me knowing is you want to jump from a certain angle in a certain place, because what it'll make you do is go up, come straight back down. I didn't know that. All I used to do was just pick a spot. Like I picked a spot or whatever, and I was like, okay, this is comfortable for me to run and jump. All right, cool. And what happened is, depending on where you jump, it'll drift you down the bar. So
no.
Yes. I jumped up, drifted down the bar, missed the whole mat, and scraped the whole ground. back of my arm was like shredded, like it literally looked like carne asada. Like it was just beef, like all shredded up.
Do you still get to clear it? Like, is that?
Oh, I cleared it. Yeah, I made it. It was just me and the friends became ground. Friends. We became best friends. Yeah, it was horrible. Yeah. It was horrible. But I won. I didn't care. So I jumped 6'10", and then the crazy part is Warner Robins came back around. There was this guy named James Hagans, and James Hagans was known for like being the jump guy in Warner Robins, playing basketball and stuff. He went to Northside. I went to Warner Robins at the time, and my friends, I was still in communication with them down there, and they were like, "Man, you're gonna have a hard time beating him because he the state champ, man. Something, or whatever. He jumped. I think he jumped like 7 feet or something like that. That's what he did to win. So I was like, oh, all right, cool. Long story short, I ended up jumping 7 feet my first year doing it. My sophomore year, and that kind of like is what like started like everything for me.
When did you beat your upperclassman?
I beat him. He quit in the middle of the year.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I made him quit. Twist. Yeah, he definitely quit. So what happened was,
pat him on the back? No.
Yeah, look, I should have patted on the back, like, hey, it's okay, buddy. Yeah. But no, he quit because he had a full ride for football.
Okay.
Yeah. So he had a full ride for football, and then when he saw he wasn't winning, he kind of was just like, oh, I don't need to do this. I need to focus on football, blah blah blah, and he just disappeared in the middle of the year. So and that was I beat him in the middle of the year because I went. Like I said, my first meet, I jumped like 6'2", 6'4", something like that. And then by the middle of the year, I was jumping like 6'8", 6'10". And he just...
So I'm out.
Yeah, he just dipped.
Passed the torch.
Yeah, pretty much. He dipped, and then I won state that first year.
Wow.
And then beat James as well in the track meet, and I ended up jumping 7 feet that year. So that's kind of like what started off everything.
So there's a lot of people who are great at a sport, but there are a few people who can win a state champion. And the reason I'm saying that is because at the high school level, what was the differentiator for you? Was it just the fact that you had a competitive nature that was beyond most of the individuals, or was it the work that you're putting in behind the scenes, or was it just what was it that you felt like, you know what, I kind of do this a little bit different, or I am different in this?
I would say, I think you hit it on the head when you said like the work. Because like for me, I was tenacious, you know, like I was never afraid to put in the work of what is needed behind the scenes to make it like, you know, work for me when it's time. And I think like what I noticed when, especially, you know, when you're in high school, because you're kids, like, you know what I mean? Like most of the time I'm playing sports because somebody else playing, or I'm out there because my friends are out there. Exactly. Like, you know, or like, hey, let's run some routes. And then if enough of them say no, oh, okay, yeah, let's just go. Like, but for me, it was like, no, like I want to win, and like I need to do more because there's people that are better than me, and if they're better than me, that means I'm not doing enough. Like that was kind of like my mindset. So the staying after practice late and like doing the extra stuff, like. I wish I would have had like more of a mentor to show me. Yeah. And my dad, he was like, Warner Robins about 2 hours, hour and 30 minutes away from where I was staying in Atlanta. So my dad couldn't be back and forth because he was on the base working. Yeah. So it was like me just figuring it out for the most part. Like, you know? Yeah,
that's the hard part. Because I was just saying, like, there's anybody can want to cook, but how do you know what ingredients to use?
You don't.
And like, that's one thing that led me down my journey. My profession was like, I was not gifted athletically. I was quick for my size, but I was fast, I guess, and had cardio, but I was definitely an outworker type of person. But the issue was it led me down a path of not understanding like health and recovery. So I was just like, okay, well, I know I got to work, so let me go run 1,000 miles. And like, but that led to injuries.
Yeah, right? It does
that. So that's what led me down. So, but what's interesting for you, what did you have any sort of mentor? Did you have something that at least gave you enough?
Yeah, like my guidance? Pops was always there to tell me. And tell me different things like, hey, man, you need to take an ice bath. Hey, man, you need to do this. Like, so he would tell me. And then, like I said, Al Hughes, he's done it so many times with different Yeah, he's like, hey, man, we're going to do this today. Hey, we need to recover. You know, I had Coach Francis, who was my basketball coach. He was a great mentor to help and like tell us what to do and guide us or whatever. But, you know, then afterwards, it was just the little stuff, asking your coaches, hey, I was wondering, can you be there for jump shots? Or, hey, I want to keep jumping after practice. I know it's over, but do you mind if I stay for an extra like 20, 30 minutes so I can maybe like work on this because I feel like something's wrong or whatever. Can you look for me? Or, you know, because, you know, back when we were growing up, YouTube wasn't that big.
It was not, just starting. All you had was like the like the funny videos.
Exactly, like Vine.
Yeah,
like you had
yeah.
Vine that just came out, but what? Instagram didn't exist. Snapchat didn't exist. Like TikTok definitely didn't exist. We didn't have none of that.
No, and the videos were horrible. Like
Oh my God, the quality.
the
Was
quality.
trash.
You're like, I think I'm watching basketball.
You didn't know what you was looking at, but that was the thing. Like it wasn't big, so there wasn't like the wealth of information that's here now. You had to just figure it out, or you had to hopefully know somebody that knew someone who knew the information, or you just pray that you run into the right person and they're gonna lead you the right way. So that was kind of like the gist with it, because I didn't know track, man. I knew nothing about track, and it was a blessing because how it like progressed from my sophomore year.
Yeah.
Like it did skyrocket. It went crazy.
So your sophomore year, then you're state champion at the end of your sophomore year.
Yes.
Incredible. And then your junior year? How did that go?
So
senior year?
every year I ended up PRing by 2 inches.
Oh wow, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. So I went 7 feet my sophomore year, one state. Then my junior year I went 7'2". Ended up winning state, and then this lady found me for AAU track. She saw me jumping at a track meet, and randomly came up to me, and she, I can't remember her name right now. She's gonna kill me. Coach Mathis.
There
That was her
you go.
name,
Clutch,
Coach Mathis.
clutch.
Yeah, clutch. You know, yeah. Well, Coach Mathis came and she asked me to run for their track team.
Yeah.
And at the time I was doing football, so I was like, if I can do it, I'll do it, because track was never my priority. Like football was. Like that was my priority.
Even during this time.
Football. Like that's what I grew up doing. That's what it was. It was football. Like, so she was like, yeah, come out run AAU track. I was like, oh, cool. And that's where I met Christian Taylor, honestly. So he's, if you look him up, world renowned triple jumper, one of the best in the world. Like he's like, for the most part, other than I think last year, he's won an Olympic gold in every single Olympics he's ever been in. Yeah, he's a dog. Like, he's a dog. He's even switched legs in the triple jump and jumped further off the opposite leg when he hurt his foot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean hurt his knee, but yeah, he's, like I said, he's a dog. Like that's a whole. We'll get to that. That's a different category of athletics.
Yeah, there's levels.
Oh, there is. You realize that real quick. But to go back to what you were asking me. So 7'2", my junior year. Then I qualified and won World Youths. So I ended up winning that competition.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, to go to Italy and go compete in Italy for the USA team. Yeah, so it was tough. So then, like we just said, you realize there's different athletes out here. The world is a lot different than what I'm used to in the States.
Yeah.
So went there. I got like 7th for my first time and stuff. Didn't like it because, I lost. So I hated that. So I went my senior year, jumped 7'4".
Nice.
And I ended up at that time as World Juniors. So you go against college athletes that are freshmen, and you also go against high school. So I ended up winning that senior year and winning state again. So I won state 3 times in a row. I won World Youths my junior year, and I won World Seniors. I mean, not seniors, juniors, sorry. World Juniors my senior year. And I beat out a guy named Eric Kennard, big time jumper or whatever. He got silver, moved up to gold because they said somebody was doping or something. But big time jumper, and a lot of other people, I beat them out to go to World Juniors. And then I got second, unfortunately, still didn't win. But, it was still a good jump. And I ended up PRing again to 224. Yeah. And at that meet, and that was with his name is Barshim. Right now, he's known as one of the best high jumpers in the world. Metsuba Barshim. So
crazy.
Yeah, so
it's crazy because you saw him young.
Yeah,
right?
We're all the same age. He's young or whatever. He's from Qatar.
Okay.
So yeah. Cool dude, cool as heck. All these guys I'm naming, great people. Yeah. Great people. So I went there, ended up getting second in the world juniors, and then I went to college. Yeah.
So you started off the podcast with talking about how you were driven by getting that scholarship. At what moment did you get it? And how did you feel?
Okay, so technically, I was being looked at for football, basketball, and track my junior year. But I really wasn't even though a lot of people say I should have played basketball, I wasn't really rocking with it too tough because it wasn't Georgia definitely was not a basketball thing back then. Yeah. It was all football. Yeah. So that's what I got pulled into. So I played football. So then I more focused on getting the scholarship for football and football and track. So then looking at the schools, trying to see if I can do both, trying to see if I can play both. And I solidified and I signed my senior year. That's when I ended up signing. I signed to Auburn. But the thing is that you find out, especially with our age, when you're in school, back then they can tell you one thing and then they can do other things.
Yes, they can.
Yeah,
Yes, they can.
found that out real quickly when I went to college. So I didn't end up doing football because of the fact that, unfortunately, they lied to me. So yeah, I didn't get to do both sports. But my top 5 schools that I went to were Auburn. I went to Auburn, Florida, Arkansas, Oregon, and then I can't remember where my 5th was. I'm not sure where my 5th was. I can't remember where that 5th was.
It was probably 5th for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. But that was my 5th, and it boiled down to the 3 schools, which was Auburn, Florida, and Arkansas. And the reason why I didn't go to Arkansas was because I'm not gonna name drop, but one of the coach that came to recruit me, when I asked him about getting a full ride, he wanted to give me a half educational scholarship and a half athletic scholarship. And I asked him what I needed to do to get a full, and he laughed in my face.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was like, ha, 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 you got to jump like 7'4", ha, 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 la, la, la. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, are you saying that's impossible or something? And then like he kind of like saw my face and he was like, oh, no. I'm just saying like there's not many people that have done that, and there's not a lot of people that can really do that, especially at your age and ... So yeah, that kind of like already threw Arkansas out the hat
that
for
doesn't
me.
truly believe in me.
Yeah, exactly. And then when I went to Florida, the coach was very transparent with me, and he let me know like if he got a better offer, he would leave. And that was at the time when Tim Tebow was there. Yeah, so that was like Tim Tebow, that big team with Jeffrey Demps and all of them and everything.
One that just got the Netflix doc.
Exactly. Exactly. So that was them. They were there at the time.
Yeah.
And when they were there at the time, like my host was Christian Taylor, the triple jumper, because he was from Sandy Creek, and we've competed against each other. I knew who he was and stuff, so he was my host. So I was gonna go there, but the coach was he was cool, and he just told me the truth. So I didn't want to transfer schools. So that's how I ended up going to Auburn, and I ended up having to stay there. Yeah.
But with that being said, you ended up a 3-time All-American at Auburn.
Yeah.
That led you down the path of trials.
Yes. Yeah. Well, technically.
So how did guide you with that?
Okay. So the way it worked is like just because you're All-American, it doesn't really solidify you going to trials.
Okay.
Yeah. So technically, the way Olympic trials work in the U.S. is that like you have to hit a standard.
Okay.
Then when you hit that standard, that gives you entry into Olympic trials. But you have to make sure you declare to say, I want to do this event in Olympic trials.
Got it.
That means now I'm going to go compete. Now, a lot has changed compared to what it was back then.
Yeah.
But back then, it was 2 different things. You had the A standard and you had the B standard. All right? So if you make the A standard, that's the auto. So I made the A standard, I automatically go to the Olympics. But you still have to place 1 through, I think it was 1 through 3 back then. Yeah, it was 1 through 3 or 1 through 2 to be able to go to the Olympics. If you have the B standard, and let's say like 3 people didn't jump the standard and maybe only 1 person jumped the auto standard. Yeah. Now they go down to the next qualification to say, okay, who jumped 226 rather than 229? And for those that don't know, 226 is about like 7, it's like 7.4 and 3/4, 7.5. And then the auto would be maybe like 229, which is 7.6, 7.6, 7.7, like 7.7 even. Yeah, so that's kind of like how it used to work back in the day. But for me, I really wasn't worried about that at the time. And I stopped because I was burnt out from doing so much at the time. Yeah. So I just ran track and did school. And by the time I got back into it, I finished my year in 2014 of competing. And then Puerto Rico came and asked me to compete for them. Because my grandfather, and my mom, they're Puerto Rican. So I didn't even know I could do that. Yeah. So that was definitely a cool thing. And my grandfather died at the time. He was very sick and he ended up dying. So it was a cool way to represent, my grandfather and stuff like that.
Definitely have that in here. It's Mr. Francisco Rivera Sanchez.
Yeah, that's my papa. Yeah, that's the man.
I loved it because when I was looking up some research about you, it said that was one of the things you were most excited about was being able to represent and honor your grandfather, Vietnam veteran who was born in Puerto Rico, passed away in 2014.
Yeah, that's my man.
You talked about your dad and how excited was he when he found out that you were going to go to the Olympics 2016?
Thrilled. Super excited because my dad was a super stud athlete.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, like I said, like life, like it really like messed up a lot of my family. My dad, he was raised in Richmond, Virginia. My mom from the Bronx. So she Puerto Rico by way of Bronx. But my dad, he didn't have the best childhood and stuff. So he didn't have the best guidance. And whenever he was in school, do you know who Mike Bibby is?
Of course.
So Mike Bibby and Doug Bibby are best friends with my dad. They grew up. Wow. They all grew up together.
Mike Bibby's swole.
Yeah, he's huge. Yeah, that man's huge. So Doug Bibby is kind of like a family friend of ours. He's low key like an uncle for me. And Doug, till this day, and if my dad hears this, he'll be ecstatic I said this.
Yeah.
But Doug still tells me to this day, like my dad is one of the best athletes he has ever seen.
Wow.
Hands down. And Doug has had the pleasure of coaching Rondo and D'Angelo Russell.
Wow.
So that was his kids that he pretty much groomed to be able to coach and stuff like that.
Wow.
So to put him in a category like that just shows like, dang, okay, I got some good genes. Like,
yeah, it came from somewhere.
Exactly. Like, yeah. So he was thrilled, man. Like really, really thrilled.
So what obstacles do you remember having when it came to qualifying for the Olympics?
Okay, so, oh man, that's a loaded question. Yeah.
On purpose.
Yeah, I see. That's, oh gosh. So one of the biggest obstacles was, first of all, not knowing how things worked. Yeah, so like track is a very like, how would I explain it? Tangled web, you know, and there's a lot of hurdles that you have to jump and go under and go around just to figure out like what to do and how to do it. It's not like a lot of other sports. So an example would be like, you know, when you go into football, they usually have like somebody to hold your hand. They have the union there. They're going to have you go to seminars with financial advisors. They're going to say, hey, you need to do this with your money, or for you to do this, you need to make sure these are the people that are going to help you with this, with your agent. They're going to take care of this, but make sure you choose your agent wisely, and all of these other standards and things that you have. Track's just the Wild Wild West. So it's like when you get there, there's...
Why?
It's
just not big enough.
In my opinion,
yeah.
People like to take advantage of things that nobody pays attention to, you know, and not saying that it doesn't have a lot of eyes on it, but it takes somebody within to say something that then pulls more eyes on it to make people do what they're supposed to do. And
that also puts them in a position to jeopardize their. So someone's got to be willing to die on the sword.
Exactly.
And that's hard.
It is. So an example would be when I was in college, right? There was a guy, and I think they won the NCAA championship or I forgot what game they won. And he played basketball. And they asked him, hey, what are you going to do after this? He said, I'm going to go eat. And they were like, wait, what? What do you mean you're going to go? He was like, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten, blah, blah, blah. And he went through the whole like dissertation of like his schedule of him not eating, which then made the NCAA create a rule to where we finally got food.
Before.
Like everything. Like we were able to eat whenever we wanted now. Like we're able to have an open cafeteria to have food all the time, because a lot of people didn't realize, like I said, they think from looking at it, all you see is the sports, but you don't understand like what comes behind the scenes. Like, your schedule is so tight, like you don't have time to eat, and the cafeteria closed at a certain time. So you got to figure, like, those are things that now by him, like you said, dying on his sword, not knowing what's going to happen, speaking out, it opened up the avenue for everybody else. And I think that's, in my opinion, it's people are trying to do it, but people aren't willing to sacrifice it because it's their livelihood. So yeah, that's just the reality of it. And I think that's really what happens in track is that they're making a great living and they don't know what to do next, most of them. And it's like, why would I sacrifice my livelihood for you when I'm still living and I need to make this work for me? So that's just kind of like how I see it in a sense.
So the obstacle was so that was one of them, is not knowing how it works. So what would you say if you had another one or something else that you remember was like, man, am I really going to be able to do this?
The next thing was like coaching. So like for me, when I and I love my coach, don't get me wrong, he was a great guy and stuff, but for what I needed him for, he was not equipped to give me what I needed at the level I was at when I went to the school. So for me, I'm thinking football or basketball. When you go to a school, these people are here to get me to the next level. Yeah. That's their job. But you find out it's a business. And you realize like, yeah, your skill level is at a certain level, but you yourself or your parents or whoever's around you have to do their due diligence to make sure this is a coach who's going to help develop you into a better athlete than what you already are. Because their goal is you can already play at that level.
Yeah.
So they don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah, they're still.
Or maybe they should care more. But,
Yeah, should. But that's the thing. I play at a level that is great and you're going to make great things happen. But to be able to supersede that, you have to have somebody that's a great developer or is able to bring in a staff that can do that for you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I didn't have that. And I pretty much had to really, my work ethic, I can say, is what got me there and helped me to be able to push through that hurdle. But the issue was it can only get you so far because I went back to with the first thing, I only know so much. So I really had to like dig and try to find those things. So coaching was definitely a second big thing. Cause that I'll leave that for later. But yeah, that goes into a whole story about how I kind of like evolved into 2016, and it was a lot of people don't know it was a rough ride.
Talk about it.
Well, for me, 2015, I was supposed to go to Pan Am's.
Okay.
Right. And when I was supposed to go to Pan Am's, well, they're not doing it anymore, but they're going to add an extra one. But usually Olympics is every 4 years, right? What you do is you have, let's say this year is Olympics, right? Boom, knocks it off. Then they have a break year. The break year usually is only going to be like Pan Am's, which is like Central America, people over here. On North America, Canada, those are the people that can compete. People not from Europe and stuff like that. They're going to have their own stuff.
Can they use that what do they use those scores for? Is it just to compete?
No, it's just to compete.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just to keep everybody still fresh. You still get paid. It's like something to represent who's the best on your side of the hemisphere. Like things like that, right? Then there's a world championship. So usually the next year there's going to be a world championship. So usually world championship alternates. Okay. So you have world indoors, which would be in the wintertime. And then outdoors would be Pan Am's. And then the next year, the third year there would not be a world indoors. They might have a Pan Am's or something indoors or something, competition. And then they'll have world champs outdoors. And then the next 4 year comes around, which is Olympics all over again. Yeah. Now what they're doing is there's going to be no breaks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's all just Olympics, world champs on both indoor, outdoor, and Olympics coming right back around.
You like that? Don't like that?
I mean, I ain't got nothing to do with it. I'm done.
But if you had to put yourself into that, like back into that, would you have?
I mean, it's cool. Yeah, it's cool if you can, like I said, coach. If you have the right system and the right coach that can be able to help you create your system. Because the hard part about track, bro, is it's all about like peaking. And that's literally all it's about. And you have to have somebody that understands the system of peaking to make sure, okay, this isn't that important, but I need to peak at this time. Yeah. All right, cool. Now that I peak at this time, I'm gonna have the plateau. Yeah. It's gonna plateau and then it's gonna go down. Yeah. But I don't want it to dive. Yeah. I just want it to be maybe a small little decrease and then it comes back up and it shoots back up. But I have to have it at a slower pace because it's a long season. Yeah, it's a very long season. So you got to figure out how to like play with it. Look, your favorite science.
Yeah. I love it. Don't get me wrong, I'm nerding out, but I find track to be so interesting because like we're obviously basketball guys, but basketball you train a lot for like a 60-minute game, and it really is like 2.5 hours, but like a 60-minute game. Track you train all the time for like 9 seconds, or like if you run the 400 is 50 seconds or whatever it is. Like that's
for one race. That's literally what you're doing. You're killing yourself for one chance to do one thing for a short amount of time. But you're killing yourself. Like it is ridiculous.
So how did you overcome those obstacles? Because you clearly got to it.
I did. Well, it was. I'm not gonna lie, it was tough because I had an extra year, 2015 indoors. So to put it in a short synopsis, 2015 happened. I ended up jumping well indoors, so I switched my coach. I wanted to leave my school, honestly, at one point, but like we said, things were different back then, and they kind of played with me when it came to transferring. So I didn't get to transfer. I switched my coach from the coach that recruited me to a new coach that was coming in because the other coach that I wanted went and became the head coach of the University of Michigan. So a new coach came in, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna just take a chance. Here we go. So I went with him. And outdoors, I ended up jumping pretty well, but Puerto Rico said it wasn't good enough to go to Pan Am's because they switched the standard on me. So I was like, all right, bet I'm gonna make Olympics next year then. Watch, since you guys want to play with me. Like, so we get into 2015, I end up like winning SECs. After I won SECs, unfortunately, like I think I twisted my ankle or something. So I twisted my ankle, but I was good, and I went and got like third or fourth at indoors. So then we're in 2016 now. No, that was 2015. Outdoors didn't make it. Then we got into 2016. So now I was like setting up everything. I have the same coach that I had from 2015, and I'm like, okay, cool. It's time to work.
Yeah.
So put in the work. We get in indoors, and I'm jumping pretty well. Like I ended up opening up, I think like 223 or something like that. So in feet, that's like 7'3". So I ended up opening up with 7'3" and stuff. And at the time, my PR was still 224, which is 7'4.5". So I'm like, okay, cool, let me do that. And the craziest thing was it was the beginning of outdoor season. And we had a meet right before that. And I ended up jumping like 7'3"-ish again, right around my PR. And I ended up I'm like, okay, I really need to jump high, whatever, and everything. And after the meet, we got practice like the next 2 days or whatever. I tweaked my groin.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh gosh, this is some bull. Like, you know, like I've been working my butt off for this. Like, I can't let this happen. So my coach pushed me on this recovery workout. So just because you hurt, I mean, you stop, you still work out. So he got me on this recovery plan. I got to jump in like 2 weeks. And it's another home meet we have. So I'm like, okay, I skipped the meet that I was going to do in between. I was like, I'm going to focus on recovering. I'm going to do my thing. So then it was crazy because a guy I knew, he's a world-renowned jumper now. At the time, he was there when I qualified for the Olympics at that meet. So I tweaked my groin and ended up PRing by like 2.5 inches. Yeah, 2.5 inches or something like that, and jumped 7'6" and a half, 7'7". So I ended up jumping 7'7" at that meet, being injured and still qualified for the Olympics. So I'm hyped, you know. Yeah. I'm like, cool, I stamped my ticket. I ain't got to keep going to these meets. I ain't got to keep doing stuff. Like, this is great. Then May happens, where SECs happen, because I'm not with the school anymore. I'm like by myself and professional now, whatever. And like I said, the professional route is very difficult because like you don't have sponsorships. Like, unless you're just a dog coming out, and I was, but I just wasn't to their standard at that time. And like, I was pretty much getting into the mud. I was getting my master's at the same time, like while I was in school. So it was a lot. So SECs was the beginning of May, around my birthday. So the great birthday gift I got was my coach got fired. So literally my college fired the coach that was training me for the Olympics that helped me PR.
Oh, man.
And he's from Romania.
Yeah.
So he had to go back because he was on a work visa.
Yeah.
So he had to go back or find a different job. So I tried to work it out with like working with him in different places. That didn't work because he had to.
It's too much.
Yeah, he had to provide for his family. Yeah. So he dipped. So he ended up leaving, and I'm stuck without a coach. So now I'm stuck without a coach.
How many months out before?
This is this is the beginning of May, and Olympics is like, we leave to go to the Olympics in July. So I'm just trying to figure it out now or whatever. And one of the sprint coaches was like, hey, I got a guy, he can really help you, blah, blah, blah. Only issue was the guy was a head coach at Georgia Tech. So Georgia Tech to Auburn, like to get to downtown Atlanta is like 2 hours and 30 minutes, like drive. So I linked up with him. He was cool. And he helped me out or whatever to get right and get prepared to get ready to go and stuff like that. But I would have to drive every day. Damn. And sometimes spend the night at my mom's house, whatever, 2.5 hours back and forth to Auburn, to Auburn to Georgia, going back and forth to Georgia Tech. Yeah. So that was me prepping for the Olympics.
I think of that as like, well, a couple of things. First of all, one of my favorite quotes, this is why I think podcasts like this are so important for the youth and people in general. But Brandon Marshall, you know Brandon Marshall?
Yes.
So he used to play at UCF, and he visited Timber Creek, which is the school that my brother went to. And he talked to him, and he told them a quote that my brother came home that same day and told me, which is, character is built when no one's watching.
You ain't lying.
And that's such a simple thing, but the power of him taking that time to do that, to do this, it affected me as a 30-year-old kid now, or man now. Like, it's still something I think about. But that's how I think about with that. Those drives, no one watching. No one knows the why behind what you're doing.
Nope.
Like the why, like that's exhausting. Like, not only are you driving, but you're about to put crazy work and then go back and then Like that's a lot. And plus, like you said, I'm sure there wasn't like an abundance of sponsorships at that time. It was a bet on yourself type of situation. So you overcome that. You get to the Olympics. Did you do the walk and everything?
Yeah. So
Tell me how was that?
so like you're talking about like opening ceremony?
Hey everyone, this is Dr. Kevin Melendez here, and this episode is brought to you by Swish Physical Therapy Performance, the #1 physical therapy clinic in Oviedo and Orlando, Florida, where we meet evidence, technology, and experience and bring it together to bring the best results possible. Thank you. Back to the episode.
It was dope. Like I got to meet Klay Thompson. I met Boogie. I got to meet I met Kobe. That was cool. Yeah, that was tough. Yeah. I got to meet Kobe. He's cool as hell. Yeah. I met him. I met Klay Thompson. Who else? I think Draymond. No, Draymond wasn't there. No, I didn't meet Draymond. Draymond was Carmelo. I had to meet Carmelo Anthony because he was hyped because he's Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. Yeah. And like he was hyped. He was like, "Oh, yo, what's up?" Like, yeah.
That was dope.
Yeah. So Melo was cool, yo. I got to meet Melo and stuff like that. And like the walk itself, looking back at the issue is, and I can think every sports athlete can definitely say this, it's tough to enjoy the moment when you know you have a task to do. Because you're so hyper focused and so locked in. Like it's something that kind of like it just goes over your head sometimes. And I'm maybe not for everybody, but I know for the majority, like you're trying to enjoy it, but like, okay, yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
But I got work to do.
I gotta go do something.
Yeah, I got work to do. But it was cool, man. It was a whole little ceremony. You walking in, you got your little fit. And your country has like whoever your sponsor is, you wear your little fit and stuff like that. Then they put you in the auditorium and we were in like I think the basketball arena or volleyball or something like that. And you're just sitting with all of these countries. Yeah. And you're just sitting there and then they have like a number they give us that lets us know the order you go out. So then you go out and you have the person who's going to hold your flag for your country. So you got your person who's going to hold your flag for your country and you're just sitting beside all these different countries. And like you realize like, I think the biggest realization was like knowing how insignificant and small you really are. Like, and not saying like you're not worth anything or like, you're not better than or something like that. Not saying like that to down somebody's character, but it's more to open up your eyes to realize like you might think you're special or you might think you have it all together or you might think you are the top and cream of the crop. Yeah. But there is so much more out there in this world that you have not even discovered. Yeah. Like, that was like the wake up call that you kind of get being there, Yeah. Yeah. So it was dope. It was really dope.
That's cool that you even had that perspective, right? Like to be in that situation and go, oh, wait, life is really bigger than me. Because we are all the main character of our own story.
Exactly.
We are. However, you realize everyone's living their own story. So you're like, oh, I'm kind of just like the side character. Or like, I'm kind of just like an extra in this person's life. Like,
look,
you know what I mean?
I'm Vegeta, bro. Yeah, I'm just Vegeta.
Like I'm here to say monologues that are dope. But no, but like, that's cool. Like what part of that? So if we're thinking if we go anime and your story is the shonen kind of experience of this getting stronger and having to go through your obstacles, what part of the anime is the Olympics for you in your story?
I don't think I'm not gonna make that reference. People ain't gonna get that One Piece reference unless you know One Piece.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna do that.
Just a general.
Yeah, I was about to say it. Like, but if I had to say like, I would say, and some people I think they will understand this more. Cell Saga. Gohan. Like
Unleashed.
Yeah, like you realize. Yeah, you're like like okay, I'm good. Like but then like it's like a click. Like it's like like you realize, and I think it was when I stepped into the Olympic Village, and when I was able to go there, and I went into the Olympic Village. And
what is that for people who don't know?
Okay, so the way it works afterwards usually is your country usually does two things. So when you're going, you go to the Olympics. When you go to the Olympics, the way that they set things up is they usually have you at like a camp or something like that. That's outside the Olympic Village. Then when it's time for you to compete, maybe like 4 days, 3 days, then you go to the Olympic Village. And it's just like this place that has housing for you, but it's set up to be an entertainment for yourself that is inclusive to just where like you'll stay. So they have they got video games, you have doctors, you have therapists, you have mental health therapists, transportation buses we had to get us like from one building to the cafeteria. Cafeteria is 24 hours, 365, like for the time you're being there.
Even though everyone's anxiety is like through the roof.
Most definitely. But they have food for everything.
Okay.
I mean, every country, everything you could think of for your diet.
Yeah.
Like I knew about VR before it even came out because they had us testing it, and nobody knew what it was. It was just like, oh, this is cool, and they were like, yeah, put on these goggles, and it's blah blah blah, and like it was like a simulation of you like on a roof or something, and then they push you off the roof or something like that. You're like, what the hell is this? But they had VR back then. But like they used, like you're able to be the first tester of like all these cool things and stuff. And the sponsors, depending on what they'll pay, they get to be in the village with you. So one of the sponsors was McDonald's, which I know it does not sound healthy. I know. But not gonna lie. It was one of the best McDonald's I ever had. Like, boy, it went crazy. But you had like McDonald's, Samsung was a sponsor that was inside as well. Like, who else? Like, I can't think of the other company, was his name. Coca-Cola. Yeah, that's what it was. Coca-Cola was in there, like, and they were able to, like, you know, you just got free stuff. So you got free drinks. Like the McDonald's was free. You got it as much as you wanted, whenever you wanted.
Did they use it as a way to, because like I'm assuming at that point you're so competitive where you're almost like you almost don't want to do it.
I mean,
like how does that? Because you're so close to your to your event.
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Let me, and this is gonna sound so counterintuitive. Like it is crazy. What you think those top athletes do, there's a very small percentage that do. They don't. Like an example would be like, I know plenty of like crazy great athletes, and I mean they are studs.
Yeah.
They eat McDonald's every day. Or they drink Coke like it's like they drink Coke like it's a part of breathing.
Ocho Cinco is very big on that. He's like, I eat McDonald's every day for it.
Come on.
We're not recommending McDonald's.
Please don't do that.
No, high level. These are like the most elite.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They're burning calories just like, you know.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I had my tips. I had my tips too. Like, you know what I mean? Like I had a homie. This man would eat a Zaxby's 5-finger plate every day before football practice. Wow. Every day at Auburn. Every day before football practice, that was his go-to meal.
Wow.
And it was like, and I'm talking about tongue torch, like, and you're out there in that heat with your equipment on. That was his thing, man. Like, yeah. So that's why I said, like, I don't want to like lead people astray to say like, you know, we all do what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I think that's where kind of like what your earlier like question was like, what do you do to prepare? Yeah, we prepare and we have a crazy focus and everything. But there are those like, you know, misnomers and those outliers that they're just able to do what they want. Like that's just now, could they be even better if they did like hone in and make sure? Yes, most definitely. But they are so much better than the population. It doesn't matter. Like they can, like a lot of people don't know. Usain Bolt loves chicken nuggets. Like for real. Like bro, he would eat like I think it was like a 20-piece. They said, and just like go crazy, like on a 20-piece chicken nugget. Like you know what I mean? Fastest man in the world. Like eating chicken nuggets. Yeah,
like, you would think it's just celery.
Yeah, chicken, exactly. But this man eating chicken nuggets, like it's wild. Or you remember the DK Metcalf? Man, eat Skittles, like Skittles and Starburst and candy with coffee.
Yeah. I still don't believe it. I don't want to believe it.
I believe it.
Because he was saying he was eating like loads of it.
It's real though. I
had to do it.
It's all good. It's all good. But no, it's real, bro. It's real. So it's like McDonald's being there, it ain't gonna change nothing because it's not a change in their routine, man.
Got it.
Yeah, they're doing that. Or like Coca-Cola giving people Cokes, like they drink that junk anyway. So that ain't nothing new. Like it ain't nothing new, but the village was an experience. Like it was definitely a dope experience.
The Cell Saga, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. For those who have never seen the Cell Saga, go do yourself a favor.
Oh, you got to do your homework. Yeah, you got to do your homework.
I'm gonna change it up to probably one of my favorite segments. It's pretty much why I show a picture to the camera, and then I show you, and then you let me know what comes to mind. Okay,
that's right.
All right. So I'm going to show the camera first. And I'll show you. What does that mean to you?
That was like solidifying that I really was there.
What year was this? What
so this was like 2017.
Okay.
They I think it was the end of 2016, beginning of 2017. It was something like that. But they were pretty much giving us our pictures for like saying like, hey, we appreciate you like representing the country. And that is Victor. Yeah, Victor Lopez. That's Victor. Yeah. That's the GOAT.
That's the guy?
He's the GOAT. He's the guy. Like for
Gotcha.
real. But like it was a huge monumental moment because like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
You can
like,
see it in your smile. Right
yeah,
there.
it was cool, man. It was cool because like it was something like realizing like, dang, like I know I said it,
Yeah.
but to do it and say it are like two different things. And like that was more of like the realization, like, yo, this is tough. Like I did this. Like, yo, this is yeah. What else can I do?
The next photo, it's gonna be it's a 2-part.
Okay.
So I'm gonna show the first one, and I'll show you, and then I'll show the second one, and then I'll show you the second one.
Say less.
Okay. So I'll show you. These are your all-time.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
All right. And then the second one is the 2017 World Champion results. And I know this probably hits a little different.
Bittersweet.
So
Yeah.
for those who don't understand why I put those together,
Bittersweet, boy.
what's going through your mind right now?
Missed it by one spot. So like when I was in the Olympics, that's the first thing that went through my head is, you know how you always wonder if I had this little bitty change, what it would have done. That's the things that go through my head. Like, you know, because like for me, like, and I'm not saying they didn't go through their own like trials or whatever they had to do, but I'm just like, dang, like if I would have just had my same coach, or I didn't have to drive 2 or 3 hours, or I didn't have to worry about figuring out something new or something like that, I would have been right here in this mix. Simple. Like there is no if, ands, or buts, because my last jump to qualify for finals was 229, and I clipped it off with my feet. So I cleared it, and if you don't, for those that don't know, what that means is if my hand is the bar, I'm going over, and I clear the whole thing. And let's say the back of my knuckles is my feet, and I just did this and just scraped it off, and it came down.
Yeah.
And that would have been my solidifying bar to go to finals.
Because you have to hit that at a certain moment, right? Because
No, it's a certain height.
certain height.
Yeah.
No, I mean because you've hit 229.
Yeah, so the way it works when you're in finals, right? I mean, well, when you make it to the Olympics is in jumps. So running and jumps are two different things.
Got it.
All right, so when you're in jumps, you get 3 attempts at 1 bar. All right, so you get to 3 attempts at 1 bar, but there's like 40, I think it's like 42 best people in the world, like 42 to 46, maybe 48, something like that, right? And then what they do is they split you off into 2 pits. So you have your A pit and you have your B pit, and then they just randomize you to put like around 20 something on each pit. Now the goal is you have your auto qualifier, 229 that year. That was your auto, and then you have like they go by your misses and your makes, because I said you have 3 attempts.
Yeah.
So the goal is that you just want to hit that auto, or you just want to have a clean rap sheet to make everything the first time.
Ooh, and that is worth more.
Well, depends, because if I hit like technically, let's say, and excuse me for spitting.
No, you're right.
Yeah, so technically, let's just say, let's say that a person has a clean rap sheet all the way up to 226. So 226, like I said, was like 7. It's like 7.5, 7.5, 7.4, right? 7.5 and 3/4, 7.5 even, right? So let's say they have a clean rap sheet all the way up to 226, but they missed 229. But I make the auto qualifier at 229. They don't get in because I would knock them down a spot and I would automatically go because I made the auto qualifier. So their clean rap sheet doesn't mean anything compared to me making the auto qualifier.
Got it.
You see what I'm saying?
Got it.
But
Got it.
let's say I didn't make the auto qualifier and we both capped out at 7.5.
Yeah.
Now they go back to your miss and makes.
Got it.
So let's say 226, which is 7.5, first attempt. Then we'll go to the next one. They'll go 7.3. Let's say they made it on the second attempt. I made it on the second attempt. Then we go to 7 feet. Let's say I made it on the first attempt. They made it on the second attempt. That means now I beat them out because I was cleaner sooner than they were.
Got it. So in a perfect case, you go 3 for 3.
First time. First time.
So we talk about the Cell Saga being, the shonen part of the Olympics. Late 2017. Car accident.
That's earlier.
Earlier.
Yeah, I got in that car accident back in 2012.
2012.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The reason why I bring this up is because that's a lot that I'm sure went on.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's anything that embodies forward progress is working your butt off to a point where you find out there's something that's a little bit out of your control.
That sounds like my life.
Yeah. And on top of that, especially when you're trying to get back, and I'm kind of being vague because I'm sure you'll dive into it, and your sport is measured in centimeters,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel like you're sort of limited. Talk about that experience.
So I got in a car accident back in 2012. Hit my car, totaled it, knocked me off the road. And at the time, I don't want to get too nerdy because people aren't going to understand, but it's called a sprinter's fracture if you want to look it up. So my iliac crest, I had a fracture from the top of my iliac crest to the bottom on my left side. And then I had a sprinter's fracture, which is your acetabulum. It got ripped off. So I felt fine, but they were like, hey, chill, you're gonna have spasms, whatever. And I had a bone chip. That bone chipped off from the sprinter's fracture and it was floating around. So I had to take out like a whole half a year to about a half a year or whatever to recover, get that together. So in my head, they said it was gonna dissolve. I thought it dissolved and everything. And you remember when I said right before when I got ready to qualify, I hurt my groin. Come to find out, that piece that I thought dissolved, it didn't dissolve. It was lodged into my ball and socket joint on my left hip. And it was ripping up my labrum. And every time I would move my leg, that's what was causing the irritation. But it wasn't even on this side that was hurting. It was on my right side. So the reason why my right side, eventually after the Olympics, I went to the doctor like in December, and that was bittersweet. It's bittersweet as heck, but I'll get to that. But the bone was ripping up on my left side, and my right side was compensating. So what happened was my leg gave out, but I didn't know that. I just thought I hurt myself, but it was compensating so much it was overuse. So that's what happened. So fast forward to the Olympics, did all of that jazz, whatever. And my groin still hurt. Like it was still like I was still in pain. And I think that's like the difference to like a lot of people, what a lot of people don't understand. There's a difference between like an injury and pain, And unfortunately in sports, sometimes, which I'm not blaming professionals or anything like that, but it's a hard line to play with, very, very hard line because like only you can judge your injury and how we're programmed is we push through pain. So it's like it's a very like flirtatious line we're playing with. So by the time the end of the year came, I went to the other doctor. He wanted to get deeper scans. So I got an MRI and everything. And that's when I found out that this was overuse on my right side. My whole labrum was just shredded. Like it was just shredded up. Like that bone was about this big. And it was literally just in here. Every time I lifted my knee up to jump, it would just rip it. And I'd heal back up, rip it, heal back up, rip it, heal back up. So it was just causing like crazy damage and stuff. So unfortunately, that was bittersweet and sour because now in my head, I'm like, dang, let's say you take that out of the equation. That maybe be 3-4 inches that I get from not having that cause me those problems or those issues and things like that. And then at the time I had a contract at the time, and I'm not gonna name the company because y'all cool. You know what I mean? Y'all still cool or whatever, respectful, but they offered me $2 million or whatever over the span. I think it was like 4 years or something like that. $2 million off the span of 4 or whatever. And I had to decide to literally have surgery or try to continue to jump where my quality of life was gonna keep depreciating and it was gonna keep like causing me issues. And then later on, I really would have had some. I mean, I still have little things here and there, but it's not like that bad. But from what I know, it's not that bad. But yeah, if I would have kept jumping, they said it was going to deteriorate very fast. Yeah, so I had to make a choice.
And that choice was
surgery. Yeah,
which then you still were able to compete after that.
Yeah, I still was able to compete, but it just like I lost a lot of time, like because I was able to jump around my birthday, which it was still bittersweet, which was pretty dope. I ended up literally jumping at the standard when I came back.
That's crazy.
For the next like world championship. Like, cause I jumped like 224 and I had a great jump at it. And then that's 7.4 and a half. And then I went up to the standard and barely missed it. So I healed. I healed well, thanks to sports, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, shout out sports. But yeah, you know, diligence. But yeah, so it was cool, but I didn't have enough time to like develop my approach and like you said, you have this small window to do something amazing, but you need the time to create like this routine, and the habits and stuff. And I didn't have that because my habit was recovery. So
absolutely,
so it sucked.
So SWISH is an acronym. So most people don't know. So it's obviously a double entendre because I'm a basketball guy. So it's the sound that goes through the net, but it also is the attributes that I believe that are needed to be a great athlete. So S is for strength, W is for workload, right? Understanding your workload. I is at what level of intensity. The other S is for skills, and then the last one on purpose is habits. So that's where the SWISH comes from. So that's where the acronym comes from. So so when you talk about that, like when you're in rehab, or especially when you're surgery, and then you got to recover from surgery, and then you're in rehab, you're like starting that process almost all over again.
It was annoying.
Yeah.
So funny, quick story. As soon as I got out of surgery, they had me on crutches. I had like this weird little like belt thing around my hip and everything. And my mom took me to IHOP. So we go to IHOP and I was hungry as heck. Cause I had surgery. They got me in there like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. So I'm hungry because you can't eat the day before or whatever. So my mom's like, hold on, we're gonna get your seat. So I get the little crutches, I'm crutching around. And she, like for me, I'm like, bro, you're taking too long. Like I'm about to just sit down. She's like, wait, just chill, just wait. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm good. So I try to sit down and I put my leg down.
Oh, no.
I had a nerve block on my leg and I didn't know what nerve block meant. Like I never had no major surgery like that before. So I put my leg down, like you just did.
Yeah.
Dog, hit the ground in the middle of everybody, popped some of my stitches.
The
like
surgeon was pissed off.
But luckily enough, nothing happened.
Okay.
So yeah, we was good. But my mom was pissed, like pissed. I'm just looking like a sad puppy. Like, I mean, hey man, I was hungry. I just wanted to sit down. Yeah.
So if we were to round it out a little bit, which I appreciate you really kind of diving in and not being scared to be vulnerable about your story. The end.
Mm-hmm.
When was this? Do you remember what that felt like? And the follow-up to that is, what's next? What's been next?
The end was 2021. And I ended up competing at this track meet in Houston, and I was going crazy. Yeah, look, I was going crazy. Literally, I was about to, me and my boy, one of my friends that I high jump with, his name is Jerron, and honestly, it was crazy for him too, now that I think back on it, but had a great day. I went I opened up at like 214, which is 7 feet. Mm-hmm. Then he cleared it, and then we went like 221, cleared it first attempt, went 226, first attempt, jumped 229, first attempt. We was like, oh, dang. Yeah, this is a great day. You know what? Put up the standard, man. Look, we just gonna jump the standard today. It was like 233. Yeah. So we like, yeah, let's do this.
Wow.
So my first attempt, had a great jump at it, and I hit it kind of like with the bottom of my calf. I was like, okay. He went at it. Like for him, he went up and dove into it. Second attempt, went up at it, had it cleared, and then clipped it coming down. I was like, oh, no. I got to get this. Him, same thing, but he hit it like with the back of his hamstrings. Mm-hmm. Third attempt, go up, and I just feel like my ankle rolls. And I'm just like, dang, I rolled my ankle, fell into the pit. Like I was still in the air, but it was just like, dang. So messed that up. He cleared it on his third attempt. So, hype for him, whatever. But I'm just like, dang, what's going on? Like, I don't know. I think I rolled my ankle, whatever. I need to go back in the lab, do what I need to do because I'm right there. Man, the next day, my ankle is swollen. Yeah. Keep in mind, I'm in Houston. Yeah. At the time, I live in Michigan.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so I had to get back. Yeah. And I couldn't walk. So I'm over here. I slipped my shoe on, and I'm like hobbling to the goddamn to the elevator. I'm in this hotel. I go down. We get to the airport, and you know how it is. Oh, yeah, I'm good. I can walk. Take my shoe off. I look, man, my foot's like this, and I'm just like, yeah, that's not. I didn't sprain that. Yeah, I didn't sprain that.
There's something going on there.
Yeah, something going on. So I find out. Go to the doctor. I had a Liz Frank. Yeah, so
We talked about this before off camera.
yeah, man. So I had a Liz Frank, and the first surgeon, the first doctor, he wasn't a surgeon. First doctor, he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're gonna have to put a plate and 3 screws in your foot." I was like, "Wait, what? Like, why are we jumping? Like, this is crazy. We just we elevated very quickly here.
It was very fast.
Yeah, he was like, "Yeah, man. Usually when you get a Liz Frank, you got to put a plate in your foot and 3 screws because it'll fall in half and it'll break in half if you don't." And I'm like, can I get a second opinion? Or like,
Very smart of you to say that.
yeah,
by the way,
man, look, look, I was stubborn. I was like, I need a second opinion. So he was like, I'm going to introduce you to a surgeon or whatever. That Michigan, one of the best healthcare there is, like especially when it comes to sports, hands down. So I went to the surgeon or whatever, and he took a look, and that's why God is good. Because come to find out, which is also kind of jacked up. Yeah, now that I think about that as well. Oh, and to go back to Jerron, he left right after the meet, and he didn't go higher because he was having a baby.
Oh, wow.
And his lady was like literally went into labor as he jumped the standard to go. And
what a high for him, I'm sure.
So he had to dip and go see his child being born. Wow. So that was crazy. But after that, going back, fast forwarding, I found out that I didn't have any structural damage. And my foot skeletally, like, I didn't have any problems. And by the time I was able to see the specialist, I was able to walk on it. A lot of the swelling went down. Like, he was like kind of amazed. And he was like, I don't know like what's going on, but it shouldn't be like this. But took x-rays, no structural damage. It was just ligament damage. So he said, look, since technically like I was able to go, he was like, you can go to the Olympics and you can try to compete and do that, but you run the risk of your foot breaking in half. So you can go through extreme therapy and just chill and wait. I'm not telling you not to, because I mean, you're a different caliber athlete, you know, pain wise, who knows, you'll be fine. Maybe, I don't know, but you run the risk of your foot breaking in half and then you're really going to be in trouble. Or you can go to PT, see how it works and make a decision there. Or you can just not go. So that's kind of like when I made the decision, I was just like, I'm done. Yeah, I'm kind of done. Yeah. And then that kind of transitioned into just me helping other athletes now. So I just help other people, like kind of like figuring out what I do like professionally, like entrepreneur wise, just trying to find that new, I wouldn't say high, because I don't like to say high. It's kind of like a bad thing, but I would say that new adoration, like, you know, of like love that I have and passion that's going to make me want to do it every day. That's kind of like what I do now, especially like, with shout out Gabby Scott, you know what I mean? Puerto Rico, shout out. But yeah, being able to help people like herself and just different people to make sure they don't have to go through those pitfalls that I had, because they were massive pitfalls. And like I said earlier, if I would have had the guidance or like the coaching or like just somebody to just say, hey, do this, young fella. Like, you know what I mean? Or, hey, this is the right way to do it. Or I'm going to put you in contact with this person to make sure like you're good to go on A, B, C, D. Like, I feel like that would have made the world of the difference for me and my trajectory. But I can help somebody else out. So that's why I always pride myself in, no matter what you're doing, if I can help you, I want to help you. Like, you know?
Listen, I love that. And there's a few people that I've gotten the pleasure of knowing that I wish nothing but the best for, and I guess I wish for the best for everybody, but like that I have the pleasure of really knowing and know that are humble, vulnerable, communicative, transparent, and just never really. I know you have downtimes in your life, but it just seems like you never show it. And so I say that humbly, with saying, man, since the moment I've met you, it's been nothing but I'm grateful to have met you, and for as high as you've gone in your athletic career, you're as normal a person as it gets.
Well, thank you, brother.
And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So I appreciate you taking the time for coming on and sharing your story with us, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, my bro.
Thank you, man.
I'm most done.